I'm Jamie Fox, and this is Modern Day Fox. Woo!
Hey guys, it's Jamie here from Modern Day Fox. Thanks for joining me again this week for my food prep. Today I'm going to prep 4 dinners for the week. I have a Korean-inspired Zoodle's beef soup from the Skinnytaste website, which I will link in the description of this video. I'm going to do an Italian chicken sausage bake, and I'll be prepping the vegetables for that. Also a spaghetti meat sauce, which I'll serve over spaghetti squash, and a pork tenderloin, which I'm going to go ahead and get marinated and ready to go. The first thing that I'm going to do is prep all my vegetables. I'm going to look across all my recipes and see what vegetables I need, get them chopped and ready to go, and that'll cut down on the time in between recipes as I'm prepping. The soup calls for Zoodle, so I'm going to use my Veggie spiralizer because I have these small zucchinis. This works better than my bigger spiralizer. There you go. Next, I'm going to do my potatoes that will go into my sausage bake. I had some red potatoes left over, so I'm going to use those up. Next, I had a couple half peppers in my refrigerator that I need to use up, so I'm going to slice those up for the veggie bake as well. Add a little color. And I'm loving asparagus in my veggie bake, so I'm going to stick with that and just chop some of that up, get that ready to throw into my veggie mix. And then both the veggie bake and the soup call for onions, for half an onion. So one side I'm going to do large chunks for my veggie bake. And then for the soup, I'll do a thin julienne sliced. And then actually, I'm going to cut up a little bit of onion for my spaghetti sauce, just to give some flavor to the hamburger meat. Oh, one more thing, the soup calls for mushrooms, so I'm just going to go ahead and wash these mushrooms, and they will be ready to throw in the soup as well. I got them sliced, so not a lot of prep to do there. And that looks great. Everything is prepped and ready to start, so this shouldn't take long at all. Moving over to my pots, I'm going to go ahead and prep the spaghetti sauce, so a little oil in here, and I'll press saute on my pot. And as soon as the oil heats up, I'll add garlic and onion, let that cook for about 4 or 5 minutes, and add my ground beef. In my other pot, I'm going to make the soup in a very similar setup there. I'm going to press saute. I'm going to add some coconut oil to melt in there. And then when that heats up, I'll add the onions and garlic in that as well. While those are cooking, I'll package up my vegetables for my sausage bake. Not a lot of prep to do today for that. I just have the vegetables ready, and then on the day I serve it, I will add some olive oil and seasoning to my vegetables, bake them at 400 for about 20-25 minutes, and then I'll put the sausage on top. The sausage that I'm using is the apple chicken sausage from Johnsonsville, and you can either chop it or just lay it on top and let that cook for another 10 or 15 minutes. And super easy dish to make, especially in the middle of a busy household like ours. I just throw it in the oven, and by the time homework and everything is done, it's ready to eat. Here it is all done. I'll stick it in the fridge, and it's ready to cook. Back over to our pots. I have the onion and the garlic sauteing here for the spaghetti sauce. And over here I have the onions and the garlic sauteing for the Korean soup. The next step is to add the mushrooms. Next I'm going to add my ground beef. And I'll break that up And I'll break that up with my spatula. And then I'll cook until just brown. Going back over to my soup, I actually turned it off saute, and I'm going to add the beef broth in there. I'm going to add 2 cans, plus I'm going to add a can of water. Next, I'm going to add the 2 tablespoons of coconut aminos that it calls for, and also 2 teaspoons of fish sauce. You can usually find this right wherever your soy sauce is. I actually just realized that I forgot to do the minced ginger, so I'm going to go ahead and do that right into the pot. And it calls for a teaspoon of salt. So I'm not going to add anything else to this soup because it has sirloin in it, which only needs to cook for about 60 seconds once it's boiling. And also the zucchini cooks very, very fast too. So I really just want to get my soup into a simmer, a boil, and then a simmer. So I'm going to do manual, and I'm going to take it down to 10 and make sure my sealing valve is set. And then when that's done, I'll add my sirloin. Back to my spaghetti sauce. It's just about done cooking. So I'm going to add a can of petite diced tomatoes. Then I'm also going to add some Barilla Traditional. I like this particular brand because it only has a few ingredients. So I find it to be a little bit healthier than some of the other choices that are loaded with sugar. And then I'm also going to let that cook for 10 minutes on high pressure, just like my soup. While that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and marinate my pork tenderloin. I have a 2 1/4 pound tenderloin, and I'm just going to make an easy soy Dijon marinade using Dijon mustard, soy sauce. The recipe calls for brown sugar, but I like to try to eat clean, so I'm going to use coconut sugar instead, and salt and pepper, and minced garlic, of course. I'll mix all that together, put it in a bag. And then, almost forgot, a little olive oil. And then just put your tenderloin in a bag and add your marinade. Swish it around real good to get it completely covered. When I'm ready to cook this on the weeknight, I will preheat my oven to 400. I will remove this from the bag and sear it on all sides in a frying pan, and then I'll cook it for about 30 minutes at 400 or until it reaches 145. My soup is almost done, so I'm going to go ahead and prep my sirloin steak that'll go in the soup. And I bought strips, so they're already cut. I'm just going to slice them into smaller pieces. First pot went off with the soup, so I'm going to do a quick release. Now that that's done, I'm going to add my zucchini. I'm going to let those cook in there for about 1.5 minutes. It doesn't take long at all to cook those. And then to that, I'm going to add my sirloin. That'll take just about 1 minute or 2 to cook. And that is all done. Smells wonderful. And this can be topped with basil and cilantro. You can add a jalapeno or lime wedges to it. It'll be delicious. Meanwhile, my other pot is done, so I'm going to do a quick release on that as well. And we'll open the pot here. Got a nice simmering sauce. And I'm just going to go ahead and turn it on saute just to thicken it up just a little bit. The sauce has been sauteing for about 10 minutes and it's thickened up, so I'm going to pour this in some Tupperware and put it in the fridge. There we have it, another meal prep done for the week. I have Korean-inspired Zoodle soup from Skinnytaste. I have a ground beef spaghetti sauce that I made in the Instant Pot. I have my veggie sausage bake with the apple sausage. I'll bake that in the oven at 400. And then I have my pork tenderloin marinating, and I'll bake that at 400 as well until it reaches 145 degrees. I'm ready for another successful week of clean eating. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up and make sure you come visit me at moderndayfox.com.